Hey, what's up everyone? My name's PersNikity and welcome back to For Honor on Realistic Difficulty. We're moving on to Chapter 1.2 and Stay Out. This is still a part of the Knights campaign. So once you go into this level, like I said in past video, or in the first video, I don't talk during cutscenes, so here's a little bit of story to lay out what we're doing.
That Warden proved more than worthy. But there was still much work to be done. The Vikings were about to destroy the last Iron Legion sanctuary in Ashfeld. My Blackstone Legion would save them.
Alright, so after that, feel free to pick your upgrades. I'm going with the same ones as usual, and here we go.
There are many legions. The Iron Legion is the greatest among them. But in Ashfeld, the Iron Legion was about to be routed. Their commander, Stone, needed an army. Holden Cross sent me.
Blackstone! Where are reinforcements?
I'm it!
Is this a joke? Open the gate! Lead us out, Blackstone! Good luck!
The battle was already lost. I needed to change that.
Alright guys, so this level is pretty similar to the first one. It's still going to be kind of introducing you to combat and you know, kind of dipping your feet in the water before it really throws us in to the challenging levels. So, for those of you new to this walkthrough, we are playing on realistic mode. That means that there are no combat indicators. That means that instead of the game telling you which direction you need to block in, you have to determine all of that for yourself simply by judging your enemy's position and stance. So the game is at an increased difficulty both with that aspect and of course the enemies are tougher and they deal more damage to you. Now, my biggest piece of advice is to play through the entire chapter on normal before you play on realistic. So the game is divided into 3 chapters, Knights, Samurais, and Vikings, and I'm assuming each chapter is relatively the same format. At this point, I've only beaten Chapter 1 on normal. I haven't played the other ones, but Chapter 1, it contains 6 levels, and it was about 2 hours long for me, and that was playing through on normal. And so what I recommend doing is playing through the whole chapter on normal, getting as much experience points as you can, because those experience points will help you unlock better upgrades that you can use for your realistic playthrough. Of course, you are welcome to try playing on realistic from the very start, but if you find that that's too challenging, then you might want to play through on normal and, you know, just rethink your approach a little bit. But I'll leave that up to you. Point is, for my walkthrough, I have already played through this on normal, and so now I'm playing through on realistic. And the 2 upgrades that I recommend using, you can see those in the bottom left corner. One is the little health indicator. So when that's charged up, you can basically give yourself a limited amount of health for free. And then the other one is a broken shield, and that is an ability that makes it so enemies cannot block your attacks for 30 seconds, and that is an extremely useful upgrade, especially against the bigger enemies. Now, once you thin through the soldiers, you're going to want to just run past them, get to this ladder here, come up top, and first try to take out as many of the small guys as you can. So what our objective here is to capture 3 locations. Each location is going to have 1 or 2 of these big guys, or in this case, this is a girl, and you just got to make sure you kill every enemy in the area so that you can capture this zone. Now, this is what I was saying where the unbreakable attacks come in, because these type of Vikings, look at her. She has 2 axes. She doesn't have a shield. She has 2 axes. They are extremely hard to kill because they move a lot faster and their attacks are a lot harder to predict. And so that's where those unbreakable attacks come in handy, because you can basically take those guys out just by hacking and slashing, and it takes away the strategy aspect from the mechanic. Now, keep in mind it only lasts for 30 seconds, so you have to use it wisely, and I always typically will recommend using it against those enemies with 2 axes, and we'll come across them numerous times throughout this campaign, because the knights in their chapter focus on fighting the Vikings, and that is a common thing for them to do. Now, before we move on, you're going to actually want to hop onto this crossbow here, and if you want, just for fun, feel free to shoot these little guys, but basically, if you look over here, there's a big guy, and you'll know that you hit him because it will say +10 instead of +5, so you'll see right here, I hit him, and I got a +10. That's a really, really easy way to make the game easier for yourself, because that's the next zone that we're going to have to capture, and that zone actually has 2 big guys, but if you use this crossbow, you can take out one of them in one hit. The other one, though, you can't quite hit him from this location, so you are going to have to fight him, I guess, in a face-to-face legitimate way. But yeah, so after you're done having fun with that crossbow, just go down to the battlefield here. Again, you don't really have to even waste your time with these regular soldiers. If you want to, you can hit a few of them just to get the experience points. But honestly, they just kind of serve as like an environmental aspect to the game. So having all these foot soldiers around makes it really feel like a war zone is going on around you. But climb these steps here, get up to this second zone, and as you see, normally there would be 2 big guys to worry about, but since we use that crossbow, there's only 1 to worry about. Now you'll see here, I actually got into some trouble, because as I was trying to take out the big guy, these little guys kept getting in my way, and this big guy, he's another one of the guys that's carrying 2 axes, which means that he moves faster, and his attacks are much harder to predict. So notice what I'm doing here. Right when I get overwhelmed and where I started worrying that I might die, I simply unlocked so I stopped targeting him, I rolled backwards to get some distance in between me and him, and then I used my healing ability to give myself a bit more health so that I can go back into the fight. And then again, now, a really useful approach is to try, if you can, to take out as many small guys as you can so that you can fully focus your efforts on the big guy. One more mechanic that's incredibly useful is pressing X. So basically what you can do is while you're locked onto a big guy, you can press X, or if you're on the PlayStation, you can press square, and you'll actually ram into the enemy, which will stun them for a couple seconds, and you can get in a couple free hits, and that's a really, really easy way to take out the big guys, and you'll see me do that numerous times in this game. I mean, even so far in this level, you've seen me do it quite a few times. You can also pick up these different abilities throughout here, like little bombs and smoke grenades and things like that. Those are somewhat useful. Like you see, I just caused a big explosion. But then, yet again, you'll see this is the 3rd Viking that's come at me with 2 axes. And so you see that this is a very common Viking attack style, and it's really hard to deal with. So for these guys, I'm always going to try to recommend using your unblockable attack ability. You'll see right there I ended up not having to use it, but if you do get overwhelmed and if you're having trouble taking him out, then of course by all means feel free to use that ability. And then you'll see here the next person in here is just a simple swordsman. Honestly, they're not too tough to take out. Their attacks are a lot easier to see, so that you can block them appropriately, and then using that button I told you, so pressing either X on the Xbox or square on the PlayStation, will basically stun the enemy momentarily, allowing you to get in quite a few free hits. So the swordsman, in general, this isn't always the case. Keep in mind, boss fights obviously will change things. The amount of enemies will change things, but in general, the regular swordsmen are the easier enemies to take out. And then it's the enemies with the 2 axes that are much harder to kill. And keep in mind, this relates to the Vikings, so later on in the game, I'm guessing once you have to fight samurais or once you have to fight knights, the same kind of layout will happen. Like, I know the knights have a version of that 2-axe wielder, except the knights version carries like 2 daggers, so I'm guessing overall it doesn't really matter who you're playing as. You're going to basically be seeing the same traits, just in different costumes. But that's something you just want to, be aware of, is don't waste your abilities on swordsmen if you don't have to. Instead, save them for the quicker, tougher enemies that wield 2 weapons instead of 1. Now, clear out these soldiers here. You'll get an objective complete, and then a boss is going to appear, and we'll go on to the last part of the level.
Stop! Ég klára þennan!
Alright guys, so the last part of this level, you got to deal with this Viking boss fight. Feel free to use your abilities right away, because why not? Give yourself some extra health if you're low, and also make your attacks unblockable, because keep in mind this is a boss fight, and you're not wasting your ability if you use it on the boss, because you can see just how fast this boss is compared to the other big soldiers that I've fought so far. Now the number one most useful mechanic, once again, is pressing X or square to ram into your enemy's chest, stun them for a couple seconds, and you can get in a couple free hits. And now notice what I'm doing here. I got a little bit overwhelmed. I thought I might die, so I unlocked from my target. I ran around until my health ability regenerated, and then I used it to give myself more health, more confidence, and then boom, execute the enemy. You're good to go. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in future videos.
Not bad, Blackstone. Not bad at all. Pretty sure I could have done it by myself, but